Amber Alert has been issued today for a missing Houston girl. Police say 5-year-old Meleah Davis, seen in these pictures, was kidnapped by 3 men during a carjacking.
Imagine going out of town and leaving your child with your spouse, only to be informed when you return that your child has been abducted and is missing. Then imagine that your spouse is located but has no clue where your child is, but does have a ridiculous story to tell about their disappearance. This is what happened to Brittany Bowens in April of 2019. Bowens had reportedly left Houston to attend her father's funeral, which was taking place in Massachusetts, and left her 4-year-old daughter, Meleah Davis, in the care of her boyfriend, Derion Vence. Upon returning from the funeral, Bowens stated that Vence, who was supposed to pick her up from the airport, and the children were nowhere to be found. But everyone was shocked that same day when Vence showed up at a hospital with a head injury and a story to tell that made no sense at all. Vence claimed that while riding with Maleah and his 2-year-old son on the way to pick up Bowens from George Bush Airport, he hit a bump, pulled over to check his tires, and while out of the car, 3 Hispanic men pulled up in a blue Chevy pickup truck and beat him up until he passed out. He says the next day, he regained consciousness near First Colony Mall. Maleah and his car were nowhere to be found, but his son was still with him. He then reportedly got a ride from a stranger to a hospital where he notified someone that Maleah was abducted.
An Amber Alert has been issued today for a missing Houston girl. Police say 5-year-old Meleah Davis, seen in these pictures, was kidnapped by 3 men during a carjacking. This happened after her stepfather stopped on the road for a flat tire when he says his family was taken, with the kidnappers keeping Maleah.
It pulls up behind him. 2 Hispanic males get out. One of them makes a comment saying that Maleah looks very nice, looks very sweet. The suspect's Hispanic males that have been involved in an abduction of a child or something like that, some sort of violent crime like that.
While police were actively searching for Maleah, Vence and his story did not seem to sit well with anyone. Vence told police he does not remember a 24-hour period of his life and was in and out of consciousness between Friday night and Saturday night, according to detectives. Vence was considered a person of interest considering he was the last known person with Maleah and because of the multiple inconsistencies in his story. The search for young Maleah was centered around areas where the family stayed, as well as a U.S. postal route that Vence was known to have worked. While these efforts were exhaustive, they did not find Maleah in any of these places that they initially looked. A break came in the case when the vehicle that Vence had been driving at the time of the abduction was recovered. The silver Altima was recovered in a parking lot in Missouri City with nothing appearing to be wrong with the tires. After searching the vehicle, police would find a laundry basket and bleach bottles, but no sign of Maleah. However, after using a cadaver dog to search the vehicle, the scent of a human cadaver was indicated in the car's trunk. Police would ask the apartment complex where the couple stayed for surveillance video from a camera that was positioned near their door. This camera would provide images of the last time Maleah was seen alive. Vence is seen in the images arriving with Maleah and later leaving with a laundry basket, which appeared to be full of something in a black bag. Another frame of the video shows him with bottles of bleach in his hands. Maleah is never seen leaving the house or alive again, for that matter. During a search of the home, Maleah's blood was also discovered in the apartment. On May 11th, Vence was arrested and charged with tampering with evidence, a human corpse. His bail was set at $1 million. Maleah was still missing and the search crews were still actively looking for her.
All right, Mr. Vence, sir, you are here because of a warrant that was issued for your arrest. The warrant charges you with the felony offense of tampering with evidence. Now we're going to hear from the Assistant District Attorney the information that was contained within that warrant.
Your Honor, officers indicate that on May the 4th that they were assigned to investigate the case of a missing, possibly kidnapped 4-year-old child, complainant Meleah Davis. In the course of conducting that investigation, officers conducted a recorded interview with the defendant, Derion Vence, in which he stated that on Friday, May the 3rd, that he had left his apartment with the 4-year-old, his 2-year-old son, and that the three of them had gotten into his girlfriend's silver Nissan Altima, and that at some point while he was driving with the 2 children that he pulled over to check on the tire of the vehicle after he hit a bump when another vehicle pulled up behind him, and he stated that he was kidnapped by a group of Hispanic males in that truck, received a blow to his head, and said that he didn't see the car that he was driving again, and that he said that he passed out and woke up on the following evening at an unknown location on Highway 6 near Sugar Land, only with his 2-year-old son with him. He said he eventually got a ride from an unknown female to Methodist Sugar Land Hospital, and that's where he made the outcry that the 4-year-old daughter was missing. He said that police said that the defendant told them that there should not be any blood in his apartment. The officer reviewed video surveillance then from the porch of the neighbor's apartment next to the defendant's apartment. And the footage showed that at 1:40 p.m. on Friday, May the 3rd, that they recognized the defendant carrying out from the apartment, outside the apartment, from inside to outside, a large blue laundry basket with a large black trash bag.
But let me finish, and I'll take your questions.
Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens, would face public scrutiny after reports of previous child abuse surfaced. It was reported that Maleah had been abused several times previously, and Bowens had just regained custody of Maleah from the state. One of the incidents of abuse was so severe that Maleah had to have a piece of her skull removed.
Well, Russ, Derion Vence didn't even make it into the courtroom today. Brittany Bowens, Maleah's mother, did. She was escorted in by police for her own protection. Maleah's mother, Brittany Bowens, in court today, flanked by Precinct 1 deputy constables. She hoped to come face-to-face with Derion Vence when the case was rescheduled. She found herself face-to-face with protesters instead, calling on police to arrest her. Bowens said nothing as she walked out.
Everybody that has something to do with this, they need to be locked up. Because if it was your kids or your family member, you'll do everything under the sun to make sure they serve.
The state got involved after Maleah's mother brought her to the hospital with a head injury. Doctors had to do surgery to remove half of her skull. When Maleah got out of ICU, doctors ordered that she wear a helmet for 12 to 24 months while she healed. But that was not Maleah's first trip to the ER. According to records, 3 weeks earlier on July 10th, Bowens took Maleah to the ER after she was throwing up blood. Doctors reported Maleah was extremely lethargic. Maleah was treated and sent home. The very next week, on July 28th, Maleah was back in the hospital for a cut to her forehead. Medical professionals reported she had blood just outside of her brain. Neither parent was able to tell doctors what could have caused it. Bowens said she was hurt after falling from a chair, but medical professionals said that would not have caused the serious internal injuries. Doctors reported they were concerned about abuse, but in the end, the court found they could not confirm whether or not those injuries were caused by abuse. The CPS caseworker noted she had reason to believe there was neglectful supervision on Brittany Bowens' part, but nothing more. Child Protective Services has had temporary custody of Maleah since August, but they confirm she and her siblings were placed with a relative in February. The court ordered that Maleah's parents take a parenting class. According to those records, neither has done so. A judge revisited.
A major player in this case was the controversial community activist Cornell X, who appeared in a press conference with Brittany Bowens as legal representation.
But there is issues of him physically abusing Maleah that the mom should have revealed to detectives. That at the point in time, for whatever the reason may be, she did not. But we need mom to do the right thing and tell everything she knows. And we need the truth about what happened to young Maleah to come out. And I do believe that she is the victim of foul play by the hands of the stepfather, with everything that was shared with me by the mother and also the videotape upstairs that I'll show you after we're done.
What, if you guys had She had an argument. Why leave Maleah with him and go to the airport?
Can't speak to that right now.
Have any idea where he may be?
We believe that he's receiving family help and he's on the run. We believe he's receiving family help and that he's on the run.
Ma'am, I know you're hurting and you're grieving
She's
right now.
not going to say anything.
But we're trying to understand why you wouldn't bring this forward to police, these critical details, when your daughter is missing. I mean, that is a big question.
It's a big question, and Mom's on a lot of soul searching right now.
Quanell's support would not last very long, as only 18 days after their initial press conference, Quanell would announce that he would no longer be representing Bowens. Quanell would state that the reason for the separation between him and Bowens were the inconsistencies with her story.
Well, he's been her biggest defender, but tonight, Quanell X is telling us why he no longer supports or believes Brittany Bowens' story. Bowens is the mother of 4-year-old Meleah Davis, who has been missing for weeks. Quanell spoke exclusively to our Larry Seward tonight. Larry, so many people we know are following this case and have opinions, and I'm sure they want to hear what Quanell has to say.
Yeah, we have to start with this. Quanell does not believe she knows where to find her daughter, Meleah Davis. But what Brittany Bowens told the activist coming out our front doors made him run straight to prosecutors.
People think you are partly to blame for what happened.
25 minutes after their sit-down with Lynn Cannon, Quanell X says Brittany Bowens admitted talking with Derion Vence, the suspect in her 4-year-old daughter's disappearance, after his arrest. Details so sensitive he gave them only to police.
And it also said to me when we was riding in my car, what she believed really happened to Maleah. At that point, I knew what needed to be done. And so I arranged to quickly go and meet as soon as I could with the investigators at the highest levels of this case and share with them everything that we had learned and discovered.
Speaking for the first time since cutting ties with Bowens, Quanell told us Brittany's sister asked him to help Maleah's mom manage media and her emotions. 2 days on the job, Quanell saw red flags. He claims sources in Brittany's own family told him troubling details about Maleah's care, and in private, Quanell says he saw a different Brittany than the one seen on TV.
There was not a lot of tears. She was always calm, fluid, clear. Now, whenever there was a public thing, she would break down.
Still, the activist hung around, he claims, to get information he feared police could not. Bowens did not answer calls or return our messages. Law enforcement sources did confirm that Quanell told prosecutors about Brittany's words, her behavior, and his suspicions. Quanell does not believe Brittany knows where to find Maleah, but her former advocate is bothered by other details he says she shared with him.
She knows the truth, and she knows that eventually she's going to have to answer for that.
Quanell refused to give us any more information about the details Bowen gave him, allegedly. Prosecutors, and I should say authorities tonight, did confirm that Quanell gave them that information. They are vetting it, trying to figure out what is true and what is not. Police, though, still need tips tonight, especially from anyone who saw Vence or his car May 3rd, all the way until late May 4th. We're live. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Still looking for that little girl, Larry.
And to make this case even more bizarre, Quanell X was given access to Vence and actually got him to confess. Vence would tell Quanell that Maleah's death was an accident and that he dumped her body in a ditch in Arkansas. One thing Vence wanted to make clear to me was that what happened to Maleah was an accident, Quanell said. He confessed to me where he dumped her body. Immediately, Arkansas State Police, local law enforcement, and the FBI began searching for Maleah's remains in Arkansas. Texas EquuSearch and Houston Police also went to Arkansas to join in the search. The next day, a maintenance crew that was mowing the interstates and exits found a black garbage bag emitting a foul odor. Authorities believe the bag contained human remains, and it was ultimately determined to be the missing 4-year-old Meleah Davis. On May 31st, 2019, Vence was sentenced to 40 years for intentional injury to a child and 20 years for tampering with a corpse. Vence will serve the sentences concurrently.